Good morning, everybody. This
Good
is
morning.
online yoga with Via. There's a picture of me at the beach, another picture of me at the beach, even though I can't go to the beach, or I'm not going to the beach right now. And I'm going to take that off, and we're going to start the class. Today is Thursday, June 4th. Stopping the share and pinning Kathy. So I'm going to spotlight Kathy. If she's not big on your screen, let me know, because we want to.
Yeah, she is. Okay.
Okay, we're going to start the way we always start. I hope there's comfort in the repetition, the recurrence of the introductory poses. You're just going to stay here and watch your breath. Your legs could be extended, they could be bent, knees bent. You could have your legs up on a couch for a while anyway, which will release the psoas, which is often a good idea. Bring your hands behind your head for vagus nerve reset. Interlace your fingers. This is an isometric exercise. Well, it's not, that's not quite true. It's not really isometric. So it's the next one that's going to be, it's isometric. So here you are with your hands behind your head, just to keep your head still. So if this bothers you to put your hands behind your head, you could put them somewhere else. So the only thing you're going to do here is nothing, no moving, except the eyeballs shift to the right. Your eyes can be open or closed. And you're waiting for an involuntary gulp, sigh, swallow, or yawn. And then come back to center. Look, eyeballs shift to left. Wait for a swallow, sigh, yawn, or gulp. And go ahead and repeat this 2 times, right, left, right, left. Take your time. I'm going to do it too. See, I'm going to do it in a seated position. Go ahead and finish up. Keep your hands behind your head. We're going to do head ramping. And this is the one that's isometric. So it's really, I've been calling it resistance, but it's really isometric. You're pressing your head, the back of your skull, the base of your skull and the back into your hands, into your interlaced fingers and into the floor, and then releasing. So pressing, pausing, and releasing. And if you'd like to add something that I came across recently, someone else who's recommending this very movement, but added, stick your tongue at the back of your teeth. And that helps to engage and activate some of the weaker muscles in the throat and the face, the jaw. So add that if it feels right for you. I wonder what that was. Oh, I have. And a couple more times. And what you've done so far is released the vagus nerve, which is the largest nerve in the body. And I was reading about the vagus nerve. It actually, the nature of the vagus nerve, its tendencies to either worry or not, or be relaxed, to be on the fight or flight side, or the restore and digest, release and relax, restore and digest side. The tendencies actually vary from person to person genetically. But whatever it is, the vagus nerve reset will help to move the nervous system over to the restoring side of the body, of the system. We're going to do what's called block breathing. You just imagine a square, maybe it's called square breathing actually. And then you inhale one side of the square, pause at the corner, exhale across the top, pause, inhale down the other side, and exhale, pause. So you pause at the corners and then inhale, exhale along the bottom. And then you just repeat. There are actually some GIFs that show you the square and help you do this. But so square breathing. Sometimes this is an easy way to teach kids to breathe mindfully. Kids are big kids. So take your time. Maybe your square gets a little bigger as your breath gets a little longer. And finish up. And stay here. And before we do anything else, we're going to do a hypopressive in a minute. I want you to either keep your knees bent or straight, legs straight, and do glute presses. So alternating right and left. You'll probably feel it more if you extend your legs, although it's doable. Glute presses are doable anywhere, but I just want you to squeeze your right glute and then let it go, and squeeze your left glute and let it go. And I'll tell you what I want you to attach. There's something I want you to attach this to in your practice here or at home, your home practice or your Zoom practice. So squeeze, release, squeeze, release, and keep going. And I want to say that if you ever have issues with your lower back and you can't complete a move that I've mentioned, like this might especially be true if you're on your belly and doing the thoracic back stretch or a back bend, back extension. If you can't do it, or if you're in the middle of it and you'd like to, there's some lower back pain, whenever there's lower back pain, you can, instead of doing what you were doing, or in addition to doing what you're doing, you can squeeze your glutes. So sometimes the problem is that the glutes are not supporting the lower back. So I just wanted to say that to you because it came up in a private I was doing, and that's the way I addressed it. So I may mention that sometimes if I'm in, I hope you're still squeezing. And if I'm in a position cueing a pose where I think there might be lower back, or if someone says to me, my lower back is hurting, I might say, then start to squeeze your glutes. You may have to stop the pose altogether, or maybe you can squeeze your glutes and stay in the pose. Hypopressives. Let's do the I've lost the word, the bridge pose, hypopressives. So we're gonna lift the hips at the beginning of the no breath and bring the arms overhead. We'll do 2 of these. So this is a bridge pose with a hypopressive breath pattern. Your arms are at your side, palms down, and take 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. No breath. Lift your hips, bring your arms overhead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going if you can. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale, and then exhale and bring your hips down. Now, if you can, now I have a back injury and that I hope is on the tail end of, I'm on the tail end of, but I can't even do this pose. I can't lift my hips that way. So all I'm doing instead, actually, is pelvic tilts and butt glute squeezes. So I'm tilting my pelvis as if I were about to do a lifting of lift my hips, but I'm not lifting my hips because my lower back doesn't allow it right now. And so that, I just want you to know that, because now that I'm so aware that the lower back could be so fragile that it wouldn't allow me to lift my hips, then I want you to be sure to know that there are things you can do without. Let's do it again. And remember, if you can't lift your hips, you could do pelvic tilts. Although I must say, you can't do a pelvic tilt while you're holding your breath. So you would maybe do that later to try to. So if you can't lift your hips Don't do it. You can pretend that you're about to lift your hips. Maybe I'm only speaking to myself. Inhale, 3 breaths, and exhale. And inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. No breath. Hold your breath out. Lift your hips if you can. Bring your arms overhead. That might be available even if you can't lift your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale. Bring your hips down and your arms down to the start position. Okay, we're going to stay supine for a while. If you want to wiggle your hips a little bit or wiggle your legs or stretch them and wiggle your toes, feel free to do that because we're going to be here in a supine position. And for some people, it might feel too long. We're going to do a pelvic floor reset. You're going to need a strap and a brick. A yoga teacher friend of mine told me that she was doing this on her while she's isolating at home, and she really liked it. And I think it's a very interesting movement. And I've forgotten the name of the original teacher who put it on YouTube for us to find, for my friend to find, and for my friend to tell me. You're going to bend your knees, and you're going to put a brick between your legs. Yes, let's see. It's going to be, you're not going to use the very longest. You're going to use, there's three levels. You're going to use the middle one. So there's a skinny one, and that's the skinniest one. And then the next one is, I don't want to start with that one. We're going to do that one in a second. The next one is the middle one. It's there. Now put that between your legs. Yeah, that one. Let's see, like that. Yeah, right. So you wouldn't do the really long one. So there are 3 levels. You wouldn't do the longest one, I don't think, unless you were a very large person with, with very long legs. Okay, so you're squeezing your knees together. Your heels are as close to your buttocks as you can get. And all you're going to do is 10 times go to the right and the left. So you can start right and then go left and start. It's just side to side at your own pace. 3, let's see what I'm going to count for her, but it might not be your pace. And I might miss a few beats here too, because I can't talk and count. Let's call this 7, 8, 9, and you're squeezing on the brick, which is the point, is so that you're moving your hips from side to side in the pelvis, but you're also working on the inner thigh muscles. So then the next set is the narrowest width. So the skinny side of the brick. Yep, that's it. Same thing. Heels as close to your buttocks as you can get, and then just side to side 10 times. You could, if you really like this, you could do it 20. If this really made a difference in how your pelvis was rearranged, which it probably would, and you notice that and you want to do, 20 of these instead of 10, not a problem. Or you can come back and do the same set later in the day. Back and forth you go.
Break has to be between the knee, or it can be lower to the thigh side.
It can be lower. It can be lower.
Then I can squeeze it better, I think.
Yes, it can be lower. Play with the placement of your brick. It just has to be in a place where you can squeeze the thighs together.
Okay.
back and forth. Maybe Kathy can tell me when she's done about 10. Well, let's call this, let's say 2 more. 2 more. When I was first started teaching Pilates, you know, Pilates has a lot of counting in it, and there was a teacher in the room, and I said, how do you know? Do you really, you know, are you really in touch with the numbers? She said, if I lose track, I always just say 2 more, please. So, okay, so the third thing we do is you take the brick away and wrap a yoga strap or a karate strap or a strap from your bathrobe or a shirt, you know, a pair of trousers, something you wrap around and tie so that you can press out from the binding, and you're going to do the same thing. So the heels come up as close to the hips as possible, and but this time you're pressing away. You're pressing and working on the outside of your hips. Press out and rotate side to side. And if you can keep your torso from moving, you'd be more in line so that you know, most of the movement comes in the pelvis. So you're not rolling from side to side. You're actually moving the pelvis and your legs from side to side. You know, if you can make that distinction, please do. Otherwise, just keep moving. I'm sure that that's a subtlety that will come later. But be sure you're pressing out into the strap. And let's do 2 more. Now you know the teacher secret. And come back to center. Keep your strap there. Keep pushing out to the outside of the strap and lift your hips. So let me say something about Kathy's holding on to her strap. With what I did, what I do when I'm doing this, because I'm liking it, I'm doing it several times a day, is I tied it so that I didn't have to, you know, I didn't have to actually hold on to it. So if you can do that, now drop your feet, bring them to your hip, as close to your hips as possible. You're going to come up into a bridge. You're pressing out, still pressing out in your thighs. And then I want you to just roll your head from side to side. It's not a look right, look left, which is a little different. This is more like a crescent. Just rolling the neck side to side while you've lifted your hips, while you're pressing on the strap, pressing out to the strap. And do that about 10 times. I would say 2 more, Kathy. And finish up. That is the pelvic floor reset. It's easy to do. It could be your little home practice if you didn't do anything else on your day off or at a time you wanted to move later today. If you just did this, it would be, what happens is if we can pay attention to the pelvis, it changes the way we walk, the way we hold ourselves in our posture. So a pelvic reset is a very beneficial practice. Now we're going to stay here, and you're going to use your strap around your leg. So we're going to do the 3. This is the next triplet in the class today. So we're going to do a strap around the right leg. The left knee can be bent to start. You're going to have to straighten it later. The leg goes up to the ceiling. It can be straight with a soft knee. Soft knee, and if you can't straighten it, that's okay too. You want to pull it from think of it moving from the hip socket and then towards your face. So the foot is coming towards your face, and Just stay here and breathe. This is a very nice hip stretch. And we'll do this on this side. We'll do 2 more on this side. We'll switch to the right. Come back to center, to neutral, and then take your both straps in your right hand and take your leg out to the right, Kathy, and keep your hips on the floor. Keep both hips on the floor. Leg goes out to the right as far as you can. You could put it on a brick if you wanted to. I mean, some people get all the way to the floor. You might get all the way to the floor after you keep practicing this pose, but keep your hips on the floor. Stay here and breathe. And then come back to center, neutral. And the next time you're going to extend your left leg on the floor because you're not going to get over. You're going to move to the other side. So inhale and then exhale. The leg goes to the across your body. Your hips lift, your shoulders stay on the floor. Your hip shifts so that the bottom hip is directly under the top one. So pull your bottom hip back so that you're lining up, and then your leg will drop a little more. You're not going to get to the floor necessarily. You can work on this and you will get to the floor. Just stay here and breathe. Can you straighten your leg, Kathy? Or what does it do when you straighten your leg? Does it? Okay. And just come on back up. And then switch sides. This is the movement, well, especially the first one, but I think all 3 of them, that Dr. Lauren Fishman, one of my teachers, recommends for insomnia, along with Viloma breathing, that interrupted breath. Okay, so just the first time, you're just going to the center. Toes to nose. Taking some breaths. And then put your both ends of the strap in your left hand and take your leg out, your left leg out to the left. Try to keep both hips on the floor. And breathe. And then come back up to center. And this time, both hips are not going to be on the floor. The bottom one's going to be underneath the top hip. And you're going to go to the right, across your body to the right. If you can keep both shoulders on the floor, you'll get more of a spine twist. Just stay here and breathe and enjoy. This is basically 3 leg stretches with a strap. And then whenever you're ready, come back. Wiggle and come up to your favorite floor-seated position. If the floor-seated position you choose is asymmetrical, please put a blanket or some washcloths under your hips to make it more symmetrical. If you choose a lotus pose, you've already chosen a symmetrical pose, but okie dokie. So we're gonna start. So remember, when you're here, you wanna try to be in good posture. So open, Kathy, if you wanna put your arms up to a cactus, to try to find, what I'd like you to do always is to try to find an open chest. So the chest opens, but you don't wanna flare the rib cage. And you wanna be in good posture. So no flaring of the rib cage, that's too much. There's something optimal in a relationship between the front of the chest and the upper back. And you can find that, and that will help with your posture. If you put your arms up in a cactus, or even if you put your elbows down by your waist and drop of them and bring your arms back a little bit, you ought to be able to find the end of the flying pizza. You can find the openness. And what I'd really like is for you to just start to become aware of what that is, what kind of openness that is. And when we work with therapy balls on Saturday this week, and we're going to, so be sure you have a set of therapy plus therapy balls, or alphas, but I think, no, I prefer plus, and then, or some tennis balls in a sock. Okay, so anyway, in that one, what I started to say is, I have a really nice wall work to open the chest with therapy balls, and I'll do that one. I hope I remember to do that one. So yeah. Okay, here you are in your favorite seated position, and all we're going to do at first, and this is not a left-right. It's a forward hip hinge. So yeah, Kathy can go to the side. We can watch her and just point to the joint we're working at with Kathy. So the joint is right at the. It's not that one actually. You're at the hip. Where the head of the femur fits into the pelvis, into the acetabulum, which is a dent in the pelvis. So that's where you're moving from. So you're not moving from your lower back or your upper back or your neck. All of that is straight like a broomstick, and you're just folding forward, hinging at the hip and folding forward. This is called a forward fold hip hinge. Or a flat back hip hinge. Come as far down as you can, and still keep an open chest. Don't try not to round your back. There's a number of reasons not to round your back. First of all, it's not good posture. This is to help with the lower back, and it'll stretch out the lower back, and it'll help you with your posture. And your hands could be in front of you. They can be on your knees. Kathy, can you open your chest a little bit? Lift your chest up a little and your head so that, okay, not that far though. So your head, you want to think of your head, your neck as being an extension of, it's part of the broomstick basically. So, and now push on the floor or your knees, but use your abs to bring yourself up to seated. Now come back down. Now remember, your back is like a broomstick. Your chest stays open. You're looking several feet ahead of you. And you should feel a really nice stretch in your lower back. If you want to, you can play with pulling, putting your arms on the floor and sort of pulling forward a little bit to straighten your back. So Kathy, you're a little rounded. Can you open your chest a little bit? Think of yourself as opening your chest. Maybe that'll help. Yeah. And then press on the floor or your knees, or if not, if you don't want to, you can just use your abs and keep your hands at your waist. Hold on to your waist and come all the way back up. So you know that you can do this seated. You can do it standing, and you can do it floor seated. In fact, we probably will do a variation of this in a chair in a minute. The next thing I want to do is, I'm going to call it, this is a spine twist. This is a new spine twist. I'm sorry, Kathy, I didn't really tell you about it. So here you are in a seated position. I call it the knee hug spine twist. So you're going to take your left leg out ahead of you, straight ahead of you. You're going to cross your right knee, right foot over the left knee, and foot on the floor. So your right foot is on the floor. There. Now sit tall and hug your right knee with your left hand. Put your elbow around your right knee. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now from there, look towards your right hand. Look, so you're doing a spine twist around to the right. Keep your foot on the floor, Kathy. Can you do it? Okay, say, try this on a brick. Try it on a brick and see if that works better. So this is the first time we're moving into a more traditional spine twist that involves both a twist of the spine and then some hip opening, which is nice. There, that's more available, right? Elbow, so the right knee is bent. So you're holding on to the right knee with your left hand. So the left elbow, so hug your knee with your left elbow. No, you're not gonna make it there. Huh? Okay, let's see. Okay, just hug it with your hand. Now, twist to the right, sit up tall, and then when you get there, you can take your neck and move your head right and left. So what you're doing here is you're twisting the thoracic spine, but you also have some really nice hip opening that goes on. We're gonna work on this one. And you know, some of you may have already known this one or already you can do it easily. It's everybody's body is different. But maybe you can see that we're adding a hip opening to a spine twist, basically. And then come on, switch sides. I'm calling this the knee hug spine twist. There are other variations. So Kathy's on a brick. Makes it possible for her to hug her knee. And you may want to be on a brick too, or a blanket. And the other way you could do this, by the way, Kathy, try this. Try bending your bottom leg, bending your bottom knee and see if that's better. Of course, then you may want to get off your brick. But that's another way to do this. So if it's hard for you to have your bottom leg straight out, you could bend it and do this exact same pose. Hug the knee, hug the left knee with your right arm, and then look to the left, rotating your spine and breathing. And then while you're there in your twist, you can move your neck or your face from side to side. Very nice. So make sure you're twisting your thoracic spine, the main feature here. And you can see the reason that I do that very simple one with your maintaining no head movement, is because you can stop rotating your spine and all of a sudden all you're doing is the head movement. You know, it sort of takes over. So I want you to be sure that you've rotated your spine also to the left. Come on out of it slowly. And let me ask you, Kathy, was it easier to do it with your one leg tucked under, the bottom leg tucked under? Okay, so make note of that. I'll make note of that. And you like the block too? The block made it possible too. We're going to now go to your back to your favorite floor seated pose. We're just going to do a side bend, and we're going to do a side bend with an overhead arm, you know, with the arm overhead. So the right hand goes on the floor, left arm comes up and over. And feel the stretch, find the stretch, keep your hips on the floor, the sits bones, sitting on the sits bones. And then once you get here and you found this pose, which is actually working at the waist, side body waist, then you take your armpit and move your arm a little forward to feel a stretch in the latissimus dorsi. You can bend your elbow or you can make it a curved elbow, just so you know. It doesn't really, whichever works for you. Stay here and take some breaths. Feel the side bend. Feel the C curve. And then bring your arm back to center, and then bring your torso back to center. We'll do it on the other side. Left hand on the floor, arm up and over by the ear. You can bend your elbow if you want, or keep it rounded. Stay here, feel the stretch. And then bring the armpit and the elbow forward to stretch. You should feel a nice stretch along the outside edge of the back. Called the latissimus dorsi. It's a huge muscle. It starts at the shoulder and or maybe it starts at the armpit, goes all the way down to the waist. Bring your arm back to central, neutral. Bring your whole body up. Let's do one more on each side. Right side, right arm down, left arm up. Stay here and breathe and feel the side body stretch on the left. And then take your arm a little forward. Try to find the stretch that's behind the first stretch. Bring your arm back to central, neutral. Bring your body up. Other side, last side. Left arm down, right arm overhead by the ear. You can bend your elbow or curve it. Stay here and breathe, enjoy. And then bring your armpit and your elbow a little forward and find this very different stretch along the side body, just to the edge of the back. Come back, bring the arm back, and now bring the torso back. I got a nice release in my neck coming up. That was nice. Come to your chair, come up to your chair. We're going to do another hip hinge with a figure 4 on the chair. So we're going to do a figure 4 first. So just bring your right leg up towards your knee, towards your face, and then cross over. And from here, you might want to be sideways, Kathy, your chair, so people can see the hip hinge. So remember we did this before on the floor. It's going to look a little different here and feel a little different. And you're adding the figure 4. So you're changing the hip stretch that's happening here. You're actually increasing it on one side. So just go ahead and hinge at the hip, come forward like a broomstick. Your whole spine is not moving. The spine is moving forward, but it's not rounding. Lift your chest, Kathy. So try to open, not the head, the chest. So take your arms remember how we do, take the arms here and out and see if you can find a more open chest as you come forward. If you can't, it might be that you're not ready to go that far forward. Maybe you're going to do it a little There, can you see how now she went too far forward, and basically her flexibility or her tightness in her upper back didn't allow her to come any farther forward unless she rounded and closed her chest. So she needs to come as far as she can go, and so do you, and not, it could be a very small movement. Forward, flat back, forward, flat back hip hinge, 2 inches. Does this make sense? You should feel this in the hip. That's what makes it a figure 4. And then come back up and start this. The second thing you're going to do, we're going to do this one before we go to the other side, is thread your fingers between your toes, starting with your pinky finger, if you need that kind of direction. And be gentle, but you can wiggle your fingers and see if you're really stretching, massaging the inside of the toes. And then you can start to wiggle the front of the foot, and then eventually you'll do an ankle circle too. But you can wiggle back and forth or side to side. There's tons of things you can do here. This is a lovely pose, a seated pose where you could, or if you're seated on your couch watching TV, just be sure that you're also in good posture. So you might want to put a sponge ball behind your back so that you can be seated in good posture and fiddling with your feet. So you can make an ankle circle and reverse the other direction. You can slowly bring your fingers out and then you can pull on each toe. Pull and then circle the toe, like you're stirring a spoon. Pull and then stir. And you can do that on each toe. Pull it out and stir. Pull, pull, pull. And then switch sides, because there are tons of things you can do with your feet there. Use your imagination or remember some of the things we've done in class, but time is a running, so we have to move on. So now hip hinge, forward, flat back hip hinge. Remember, this may be only 2 inches. If you start to feel your chest caving in, your back is rounding, and that's not part of this pose. In fact, this pose is to counteract round back. So only go hip hinge as far as you can do it and still keep an open chest. Could be 2 inches. And then come back to seated, good posture. Thread your fingers between your toes. You can wiggle your forefoot or back and forth, side to side. It's a little circle, but it's not an ankle circle. And then make an ankle circle, making sure that that circle is in the ankle and not the forefront, the front of the foot. And come back and take your fingers out and pull on each toe. and stir it like a spoon. You might want to hold on to the front of your foot to keep that part stable while you're pulling and stirring. Stir both directions. The more we work with our toes, the more better they'll work for us, our feet and our toes. Okay, now switch to the other side. We're going to do, I call it a child's pose in a chair. So, but it's still, we're going to still use the figure 4 position. So why don't you flip your chair around and start with the other side. So start with the right side figure 4, or right leg figure 4. Bring your right leg up toward your nose. Cross. Now this is going to be a little different, and you might even need a pillow or a ball or something under your chest. You may not, because I'm going to ask you to make a very slow, so come forward as far as you can with a hip hinge. So it might, but remember, it might be 2 inches. And then go ahead and put the ball in your lap. So you come forward in a hip hinge. Then you're going to go as far out as you can and round forward in a curve over a blanket or a ball. Some people may be able to get as far as your knees or as your foreleg, but not others. You're going to try to do this should be a relaxing pose. You're draping yourself over your thighs. And like I say, it might be, some people will be able to get to the floor. They'll no ball, and they're going to be there. But what you want is a really long, small curve. It's not sharp. And then just drape yourself and breathe. And then come on back up. And before we go to the other side, and because we're not going to be able to do any other back extension, I want to do a back extension in a chair. So put your hands on the seat, at the seat, and open your chest. So use your hands to create a back extension. Your hands are on the chair, maybe even on the edge that's a little farther down, Kathy, or back there. So what I want you to find is an open chest that is created as you use your hands to stabilize yourself, and then open up. Open your chest even more, Kathy. So let's see, how am I gonna, so sit up tall, you don't wanna lean back, okay. And then put your hands on the back of the chair and see if you can find a curve. Here's Gloria waiting to come in. Okay, so everybody find as much of a curve as you can find. Hi, Gloria, we're just closing up class. It starts at 11:30. I want to see what people are finding, because Kathy has a very tight upper back. And so her curve is very small here. But think of the curve that we do on the floor. So you're trying to find that here, and you have your chair help you do that. And you can stay with your leg crossed or not. And if you've crossed your leg, you need to switch legs and go to the other side. So this is our back bend, our back extension for the class. When you're finished, go to the floor and find a comfortable position so that we can do the Yoga Nidra. Remember, you need to be warm and comfortable. Your legs can be straight or bent. Oh, that would have been helpful. Yeah, Caitlin says she put a sponge ball behind her on the chair to help with her curve. That might have been helpful. Maybe next time we will talk about that. Because, and that is that's, the sponge ball is nice to be behind the back in many ways. Okie dokie. So we're going to do the 61-point guided meditation. I'm going to stop my video and talk to you and ask you to move your attention, but not your body, to various points that I mention. You may want to put a small towel over your eyes. This is starting to pay attention first to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Now bring your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right hand thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, right shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, ankle, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your brows. This completes the Yoga Nidra portion of our practice. Go ahead and return to your breath. And Gloria, you will benefit from showing up for Yoga Nidra. Extend your legs. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Your arms can go up over your head. Try to create a space or feel the space between your pelvis and your rib cage. Wiggle and stretch, right side, left side. Use your imagination, be a cat. And then hug your right knee to your chest. And then your left. cross your knees and hug both knees so they're stacked and crossed. See if you can hug them. It's a little harder, but this is a great hip opener as well. So, and then go ahead and roll towards me into a fetal position with your arm as a pillow, bottom arm as a pillow. And bring yourself up to seated. And I'm going to cancel the spotlight and mute everyone, unmute everyone. And put everyone in gallery view so I can see all of your beautiful faces. Bring your hands to your heart, prayer pose. Press the palms together. You have a lot of nerve endings right there, just like you have on the bottom of your feet. Actually fewer than the feet, but more than anywhere else besides the feet. Press there. And then I'll go ahead and nod or wobble or rock the base of the skull over the top of the cervical spine, C1, C2. Nodding forward, bowing to each other, honoring each other. I'm going to close the class by saying to each other, namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
You.
I am going to stop the recording. You can stay and ask a question. If you want to, you can use the chat box or the participants box to raise your hand because I think sometimes some people stay and then they may not get their question answered. Whoops.
Thank you, Via.